All right, welcome. If you're heading into environmental engineering, there are two big ideas you've absolutely got to get your head around. One is the hands on technical stuff on the ground, and the other is the high level management system that actually makes change happen. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today, how these two worlds are perfectly connected. So let's jump in. So let's start with a big question, right? Picture a massive factory, tons of moving parts. I mean, how do you even begin to transform it from just a source of waste into something that's actually efficient and good for the environment? Well, the secret isn't just one thing. It's about blending two totally different but super important approaches, a technical one and a managerial one. Let's see how they work together. Okay, so to even begin talking about this, we all need to be speaking the same language. And in the world of environmental management, that language is really the ISO 14000 series. I want you to think of it like this giant global toolbox, right? It's filled with standards that give every company, everywhere, a consistent way to manage their environmental impact. And when you open up this toolbox, man, it is packed. You've got tools for auditing, tools for eco-labeling your products, for measuring performance, even for analyzing the entire life of a product from cradle to grave. But here's the thing. There's one tool that's kind of like the master key, the one that organizes the whole workshop. And that is ISO 14001, the standard for environmental management systems, or EMS. And that's our first big focus. All right, so if the whole ISO 14000 family is the toolbox, then an EMS based on ISO 14001 is like the master blueprint. It's the operating system for a company's entire environmental strategy. And this is key. We're not talking about some fancy new machine here. We're talking about the system, the framework that manages and directs everything else. So what is an EMS really? At its heart, it's all about a simple, repeating cycle of continual improvement. You know it as plan, do, check, act. A company makes a plan for what it wants to improve. It does the work to make it happen. It checks the results to see if it worked, and then it acts to lock in the improvements and start the cycle all over again. The whole idea is that it never stops. It's not a one-and-done project. Now, you don't just, poof, have an EMS. It's a really deliberate step-by-step process. You start by figuring out what your actual environmental impacts are. Then you write a formal policy about it. From there, you set clear, measurable goals, design the specific programs to reach those goals, and finally, you get ready to audit and evaluate the whole system. It's that structure that makes it so powerful. Okay, so that's the high-level view, the management framework from the boardroom, right? But that begs the question, how do you actually find the stuff to improve on the ground level? This is where we shift gears, from the office to the factory floor, and introduce our second huge concept, the cleaner production audit. And listen, the key word here, the one I really want you to remember, is preventive. Cleaner production is not about building a fancier filter to catch pollution at the end of the pipe. No way. This is about going all the way back to the source, redesigning a process, a product, or a service so you just don't create as much waste in the first place. It's all about being smarter and more efficient from the get-go. So how do you find those little golden mines of inefficiency? What's your secret weapon when you're on the factory floor? Well, the number one tool in any auditor's toolkit is something called the mass balance. It sounds technical, but it's a simple and incredibly powerful principle that makes all of this possible. It's how we uncover the hidden waste. You know, the idea behind it is actually super simple. It's just basic physics. What goes in must come out. It's the law of conservation of mass. So all your inputs, your raw materials, water, energy, have to equal all of your outputs, whether that's the final product or waste. So if you put 100 kilos of stuff in, but you only get 95 kilos of product and identified waste out, where did that other 5 kilos go? That's your red flag. That gap is exactly where an engineer finds an opportunity. And actually doing one is just as straightforward and logical. First, you map out the whole process. Then, you meticulously account for everything going in, every last drop of water, every kilowatt of energy. Next, you identify everything coming out. Finally, you do the math and balance the books. Any imbalance you find points you exactly where to look for problems. Okay, so we've got our two big ideas on the table, the high-level management system, EMS, and the on-the-ground technical tool, the cleaner production audit. Each one is powerful on its own, for sure, but when you put them together, well, that's when things get really interesting. That's where you see the real synergy. And this image, this explains it perfectly. On the left, you've got cleaner production. It's dynamic, it's flexible, it's technical. It's all about finding a new, better way to do something to prevent waste. It's what generates the solutions. Then on the right, you have the EMS. This is the structured, standardized management system that takes those brilliant technical ideas and makes them official. It documents them, tracks them, and builds them into the company's day-to-day operations so the improvements actually last. Let's boil it down even further, okay? Cleaner production is your boots on the ground, technical detective work. It answers the question, okay, what should we fix? The environmental management system is the administrative backbone. It's the documented, standardized process that answers the question, and how do we make sure this fix is managed properly and sticks around for the long haul? It's that simple. One gives you the what, the other gives you the how.
All right, so let's bring this home. Why does any of this matter to you as a future environmental engineer? Well, because understanding this synergy, this partnership, isn't just some theory for an exam. This is literally what your job is going to be. This is what companies will hire you to do.
Seriously, if you remember only one thing from our chat today, make it this. Your technical skills in cleaner production are what will help you find what needs to be fixed. But it's your understanding of management systems like an EMS that's going to let you build the framework for how those fixes become a permanent, sustainable part of the company's DNA. You have to speak both languages, the technical and the managerial, to be truly effective. And that really leaves us with one final question to chew on. For your future career, what do you think is going to be the tougher nut to crack? Is it the clever technical problem solving to find a new way to reduce waste? Or is it the long-term systematic work of building a culture and a management system that actually values and supports those improvements year after year? It's something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.